Oh yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never watched the show, but I think it's only because I have blonde hair and I'm a waitress, so they figure. But I'm like, I mean, just
I can see it a little bit.
a little bit, yeah, but not really. I think they're just like, oh, she's blonde and she's a waitress. I watch that show all the time. They remind me of someone. I'm like, is it the girl from The Big Bang Theory? Like, yeah.
I'm trying to get a picture of you. Say hi.
Hi.
There we go. Hello.
I'm trying to get my lipstick on before you
Come on.
I wasn't that hurt. So he came up and like...
I'm sure. Backpack on, playing acoustic guitar.
And the other stuff was just...
And basically anywhere he went in the city, you know, when he was playing his guitar, he had his backpack, you know, to carry his stuff around in.
Yeah. He's loved and he's remembered. You know.
So I used that one. I'm just going to say something. Oh no.
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing alright.
Perfect.
And then one of the passengers is this old daughter being old, like 65-year-old.
Ready?
Hi.
Sage is that chair. I think we're gathered. Asked me to kind of open things up here. So first of all, just I love this company.
Yes.
So I think it's with that.
Steve had a big heart. He had many gifts, but he was a lost soul, so I don't think I'm alone when I say that he was cause of both huge amounts of joy and tremendous heartache in my life. When I was a small child, I idolized my big brother, as did my sisters. If you've looked at any of the photos, you've seen us all looking up at him as if he were actually a rock star. But my parents already didn't know what to do with him. So when I was around 4, they sent him out to LA to live with my aunt and my very strict uncle, hoping they'd knock him into shape. When he'd come home to visit, I would run off. Steve would come and find me. I hate you all the way to California, I would say. Oh yeah, he'd say? Well, I hate you all the way to Hawaii. Not to be outdone by you. So then I'd reply, well, I hate you all the way to Chicago. She sort of hadn't covered geography yet when I was 4. And so it became our little game, moments when I had him all to myself. And the anger and the disappointment, they were real. Because he was my big brother. I loved him. I was too sweet. And I didn't think he should do that. So Steve, if you're up there watching, I have something to say to you. I hate you all the way to heaven.
Aww.
When I was 13, I got sick, very sick. At the time, my mother was undergoing chemotherapy and was not able to adequately care for us. She never let my father know in California or my sister Sarah was away in college. Steve stepped in and cared for me back then. I forgot completely, but at that time, he was only 25. Steve was an excellent caregiver, and I'm not sure what would have happened to our family if he wasn't around to work it all together. He was always making help. I think that may be why dogs love him so much.
Yes.
Dog Cody loved Steve so much, and I was very jealous. Yet I was also kind of happy that Cody had so much adoration for him. Steve dog sat for us a few times, and he was such an excellent storyteller. He would have us in stitches about Cody eating coffee grounds and being up and down, up and down. I'll always remember his humor and his love of laughter. He was larger than life and a rock star. He was a caring, my caring dog lover rock star.
Big brother, my hero. My brother Stephen had his problems, as we all know, but that didn't define music in me. I wanted to share a few stories about him. I have a very vivid memory of him from when I was 3. My mom, who was very strict, usually that's not the complaint about me. My mom, who was very strict, was making me put on rubber underpants before bed. Still wetting the bed. Sorry. Stephen walked into my room and said, "Becca, why are you wearing those?" I started crying and told him that Mom was making me because I wet the bed. He told me to wait a minute, and he talked to Mom, and somehow he convinced her, even though she was not very convincible, that I didn't need rubber pants. I didn't have to wear them. He saved me. Of course, I probably wet the bed then. As we got older, our parents made us eat food that was good for us, no matter the battles that might ensue. I remember sitting in front of green beans, sobbing, until I noticed that they were disappearing. I looked over at Stephen and he winked at me. He ate my beans for me. I have to tell you, I still don't love green beans, but I always loved him for that. And I think of him every single time I have green beans. Jump ahead many years to my horrible first marriage to an addict who was physically and emotionally abusing me. I had withdrawn from my friends and even my family. I stopped playing music. I was becoming a prisoner in my own home, and I had no confidence. Stephen had a job as a chef at a nice resort inn on the lake in Connecticut. He convinced me to take a job there, playing the piano every Saturday night for 2 hours. I did it. It drove my first husband crazy because I started getting out and becoming more confident so that I could eventually leave the situation. Added benefit was that I started gigging more and more. So she started having gigs. When I left that marriage, he and his wife Judy allowed me to move in with them for about 10 months. When I had to go to my house to retrieve my clothes, Stephen and Judy came with me. When my ex came out of the house to come after me, Stephen and Judy both got out of the car, folded their arms, and put up a wall of defense. Those are just a few examples of the hero that he was for me. I will miss my big brother every day for the rest of my life. I'm so sad now. And that keeps me sad. My big brother Stephen, he was my hero. How sad it is to lose a hero. Of course he teased his little sister who ended his reign as the only child. He would look at me with angry eyes and wave his clenched fist at me for about 2 seconds, when I would start to cry and sob. Mom would run over and say, "What happened? What did you do to her, Steve?" And he'd say, "I touch her." Touch her. And then she'd walk away and he'd do it. But as we both got older, I came to adore him, and again you can see the look in some of the pictures in their eyes. I tagged along with him and he let me. I fell in love with every one of his big brother friends. When he sat down on the living room couch, the 4 girls, we all played a game trying to wake him up. Crawled all over him, tickling him, lifting his arms and legs and letting them drop, prying his eyelids open, and he managed to pretend to be fast asleep through the whole thing. Whenever he babysat, he let me stay up as late as I wanted and never reported me to Mom and Dad. And I still don't know why I approached babysitting as an unyielding enforcer. But my sisters could tell. As I went through the pains of adolescence, he always knew how to make me laugh, especially, or really even, when he could see how unhappy I was. In my first year at Oberlin, Steve sent me the most amazing letter, written on yellow lined paper. He wrote about how difficult life had been for me, my parents' marriage falling apart, leaving me in effect the adult who made sure my sisters got to their music lessons, made dinner, and generally kept things together. He recognized the burden and the pain I must have experienced, and let me know how much he loved me. You have no idea how openly and hard I cried when I read that letter. And for years I kept it folded up in my wallet until it disintegrated. Fortunately, years later, I reminded him of that letter and let him know how much it meant to me. So goodbye to my big brother, my hero, funny, talented, loving, and deeply loved.
Drawn to Steve during
during our first conversation as he unabashedly described his deep love for his family, a connection I had been seeking for a long time. He told me early in our relationship that I could borrow his sisters at any time, which only endeared him to me further. As our friendship grew, we discovered many shared joys: music, cooking, exploring our town of DC, and the animals in and around our lives. Steve is woven through my memories. Watching him play music, both on stage in Connecticut and DC and in intimate home settings, patiently helping me improve my knife skills and preparing meals for family and friends, leaving his silly stick figure drawings in random spots to amuse me, painting my home together in the excitement of my new place, blasting great funk and blues in my convertible with the top down, seeking out new pieces of DC that are arriving and evolving, and enjoying the company of family, including both of my carrots and at the time my dog. As many of you know, Steve never met a dog he didn't like and called them all buddy. Hunter, my last dog, was completely smitten with him as well, theme with that, and my feathered ones delighted in his company. Pumpkin, my cockatoo, had a game with Steve where Pumpkin would gleefully pull Steve's hat off his head and toss it to the ground. Since February 23rd, I have been constantly navigating surrender. I'm reminded wherever you are in life, it can be an entry point. Recently, I was part of a bridal shower. During one shower game, I was asked to tell my love story. My initial reaction was of self-derision and sorrow. After a moment, however, I told the party guests the unusual love story of two little birds and one human. The point being, our love stories are our lives. All of it can take many turns. It doesn't make it any less our life or our love. Through Steve, my life has been forever touched by so many others, many of whom are here today and invited me along, and I would never have met if it wasn't for him. I'm grateful today to welcome this grace, love, and family in all its forms. Thank you.
And when I heard this poem, it was actually everything to me. I thought of this occasion. I thought, well, that was that's back around out above Alta. It's like declivity along the mountains, rolling westward behind. By day we levitated, floating on countless broad invitational vistas, dwelling in the sky, airing our bright sunlit bodies off the highest rock into the cold waters of our little lake, exploring the green world underneath the lake. At night, wrapped in darkness, we gazed through black oceans riddled with the cold fire of starlight, untouchable pinprick blazes in their scintillant zillions, exploding somewhere yet vividly serene in our dry air. Their vasts scatter above, around, even below us across the still surface of our little lake. Our eager, well-intentioned minds might never plumb the tidal swirl of dark, unfathomed depths, that falling away of everything out and out and out around us to their different distances. One night, we felt the churning of the earth itself, as from somewhere east of us, out of our sight, from some gap in the mountains we couldn't see, the rising moon suddenly began to throw surging light down the broad face of the mountain to our west. We stood watching in wonder on our turning home, feeling ourselves lifted slowly, rolling backward into that floor of light, into the silver embrace of the moon. Each night we basked in the sufficient warmth of our little campfire, as its playful flames lapped the night air, the only moving things in that unbounded stillness, reading poems by lantern light, discovering in those legible galaxies of words sufficiencies. Earth's tangles clutch golden as into the granite ribs of Alta laced with silver and have sunk shafts to find and scratch it out. What we do is what we really do. I don't imagine I am writing these words. I am writing them. And you went into a mine shaft, stepped where you should not have stepped, and fell all that unfathomable distance from life to death. Fell that deep, indifferent distance to your death. That solitary death that is yours alone, deep in the dark embrace of the granite earth. Had I been Orpheus, I would never gone to seek you out, lighting my way with song through the black walls of that deep shaft. Walls riddled with the cold pinprick fires of silver to touch both places of each resilience. What song would it be? Again and again into the cold waters of our lake, to explore again the cold beneath the lake, to have wrapped ourselves in the starlight.
19, he was a good cook, and I'd be his helping hand. And Grandpa Owen was standing around, and so Grandpa Irwin would just come. He would come join us, and so when Grandpa Irwin was living with Sue, and they were having. I just another thing. We all went to the Catskills in the state of New York. We'd sit by a campfire and we'd be doing playing a creative song. So, with Uncle Steve, say hi to Grandpa Irwin for all of us.
Amen.
Irwin would love it if you'd say hi to him. But anyway, he invited me over to a cookout when Judy and Steve were living on Vernon Road in Avon. I said, sure, I'll go. She happened to mention his brother was a professional chef. So, okay, I'll go. So I took a Saturday away from climbing. I went over there. And I got to say, it's not what won my heart for Rebecca, but it's different. I just want to say one thing about Steve. The little time I knew him with Rebecca, the last part of his life, it was really tough. He suffered a lot. I saw stuff theologians, doctors, laymen alike is why human suffering? Why? Even to this day, I ask that question. Honestly, I've come up short. I have no answer for it. And Stephen certainly had his share of suffering. But I also believe in God, and I believe in God's love. And in the very depths of my spirit, I feel Stephen has a place now with God. He isn't suffering anymore. He's happy. So if that gives anybody comfort here,
Kristen, stand up and say that not one person has mentioned the fact that every time you were talking to, and he was talking to you, the whole time he'd be doing this for the girl. And he never,
That's right.
Every time I ever talked to him, he had a curl, and he had that. And I wondered sometimes, is it because he's trying to make me feel bad about my own hair? Is it his beautiful curly hair? But no, it was just a nervous habit. But he seems to, he just kind of spoke to me and said, to know what she was. So that's all I have.
Okay.
Wife, and it was a shock to me when I found out that he passed, but I was telling everyone, he lived the way he wanted to, and he was being true to himself, and I'm happy for him, and he is loved and remembered by everybody here, and more than this, I'm assuming, with everybody out that's not here right now, but he is loved, and we'll always remember him. And maybe we could make this as a yearly thing to remember. That's it.
Anyway, I was living in a household with somebody named Amy Allison, whose dad was Mose Allison, who's a very, very well-known blues singer who played at the Lighthouse. And she taught this to me, that you can put these songs together. And that's why there's this kind of southern, Mississippi, I'm Over the Pole is not a song that I knew, but they fit together so well. So when I thought you guys and writing up to the wave, really and then when we get together, we start getting together in the summers, we always do it at some point.
He was a lead singer, and Stephen just played bass and sang backup. And the whole time you're like, oh wow, Ken Moore. Oh. And then Stephen took the lead on Knocking on Heaven's Door, and he had that scruffy, raspy voice, and he was a little scruffy. But oh my God, when he started singing the song, it's just like silence took over the room. And it's got the simplest little melody and short little verses, and the verse and the chorus are the exact same melody. And yet he's always knocking on heaven's door.
Mama, take this bag off of me, 'cause I can't use it anymore. It's gotten hard to see. Feels like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, 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 knocking on heaven's door. I'm gonna put that gun to the ground, 'cause I can't shoot them anymore. There's a long black cloud coming on down. I feel like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, 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 knocking on heaven's door. Gonna wipe these tears from my eyes, 'cause I won't shed them anymore. There's a long black cloud coming down. I must be knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, 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 knocking on heaven's door.
Yay!
When the saints go marching in, oh, when the saints go marching in, oh, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. You get a line, I get a pole, honey. You get a line, I get a pole, babe. You get a line, I get a pole, we all go down the crawdad hole, honey, sure baby mine. You get a line, I get a pole, sweet chariot. When the saints line, I get a pole, babe. Oh Lord, I get a line, I get a sweet chariot. When the saints go to carry me home. Sweet line, I get a sweet chariot. When the saints go to carry me home. Sweet
Now sometimes I feel just a little bit lonely. I said I wish my baby, I said I wish my baby, yeah, would come on back to me. You got me walking, I'm talking in my sleep. You got me moving, I'm doing the midnight creep. Hey, baby, can't you hear me crying for you? And no one around ever treat me like you do. Well, my shoes, they're wearing holes in my track. Well, my clothes, they're hanging off of my back. Hey, baby, I said, can't you hear me crying for you? And no woman around ever treat me like you do. Play it, Mr. Dope. Can't go on living without you. I got one foot in the gutter, the other one in the grave. My eyes are red and my mind is gonna ache. Felt this good in days, hey baby. Can't you hear me crying for you? No woman around has ever treated me like you do. With my shoes, they're wearing holes in my track. With my clothes, I said they're hanging off my back. Hey, baby, don't you keep the kind of crying for you. There ain't no woman around ever treating me like you do. I can't go on living, can't go on living without you. I said there ain't no woman alive ever treat me like